Yo, what's up? It's your boy Carspec and welcome to this video. Today, we're going to be talking about Forza Horizon 6 once again. And potentially, this is the last time we talk about Horizon 6 before it gets announced, because in the next couple of weeks, we could see it be revealed in the Xbox Showcase event that's happening. But I just want to talk about Forza Horizon 6 on the overall whole perspective on how I want to see the game turn out to be, and the whole thing is I just want this game to feel different, to feel like a new era of the series and more of a reimagining of what we had previously in terms of the first 3 games. And I'm gonna get more into that as we talk about it, but let's first talk about the main, career mode and progression overall of this game. Now, obviously, starting from Horizon 3 up until, recently Horizon 5, we've gotten the sandbox type of career mode we've been used to since Horizon 3, right? We haven't gotten a traditional career mode where you start from the bottom, you go up to the top since Horizon 2. So in terms of that, I don't really mind it. A sandbox type of career is just it's just better overall as of right now to do that type of game than just to go back to the traditional system that we had before, just because that there's more casuals playing this series nowadays, and we had like so many players coming into Horizon 5, about 10 million players playing the game when it first launched and whatever, and now it's on PlayStation, right? So there's those things that is taken into account, and we're not really like in that era anymore where these games have a good career, and like we're not really a good career, but like a proper traditional career. But what I would want out of the career is to make it just engaging to play and make it exciting to play. I feel like with Horizon 5 we haven't gotten that. I feel like the accolade system was interesting for the most part, but at the end of the day, it was just kind of a rehash of what we had previously. And I want the game to feel different in the sense that we're going at a different objective and just doing it in a different way, other than just being the Horizon boss and you're unlocking festivals and different parts of different festivals or whatever. I'm tired of that type of play style, type of gameplay. I want something different. I want something engaging, and have us, give us a reason to finish the game. Like, give us a motivation to finish the game. Give us an end goal, a proper one, not, a showcase event where it's rigged and it's easy to win. Not that type of thing that we got in Horizon 3. Not something where you just unlock a certain amount of whatever it is, like say accolades in Horizon 5, and then you just get into that angle, which is really nothing. You just get to this certain amount and that's it. I want like a final race, a race where we can look forward to getting to and finishing and winning, and then the game being done afterwards. That would feel really good, and just make it overall feel rewarding to go through. I don't want to instantly get the fastest cars in the game right off the rip, within the first hour of playing the game. That's not what I want out of this series. I don't want, I want to actually earn fast cars and to actually feel rewarded getting these fast cars and not just being given them as we've been getting with Horizon 4 and 5. I You know, we seen this before. You know, Horizon 3 had simplicity in that you didn't get fast cars right off the rip. You know, it was easier to get fast cars in that game than it was in Horizon 1 and 2, for example, but it wasn't as easy as Horizon 4 and 5, or significant for that matter. And that's why I want to see it for Horizon 6 too. Actually earn things and make them feel rewarding in terms of that. But next thing we're going to talk about is the map. And honestly, I have a lot to talk about the map, because if the career doesn't really go in terms of where I want it to go, and it's not very good, whatever, the map is going to have to hard carry this game. And it is the main thing I want out of this game to be good. The map is the most important thing for me. And first thing I'm going to say is that bigger is not better. Honestly, bro, I don't care how big the map is. It could be smaller than Horizon 5's map. It could be smaller. I would not care. As long as the map has good places to go and good roads to drive on. You know, the problem with Horizon 5 is that it focuses too much on being big and having all kinds, you know, a lot of roads, and not really having good quality on those roads, and not having good quality on the overall layout of it. There's not really any places that are interesting in that map, and I need more out of, that's why I need more out of Horizon 6. You know, location should be more of a priority rather than the landscape. You know, you can have a good landscape within the game, but if you don't have good locations, your map is not good. I do not care what it is. You know, it doesn't matter to me. Like, if I don't have good, you know, if your map doesn't have good locations, I'm not gonna wanna like drive around it and enjoy it. You know, what made Horizon, the first 3 games, so good in terms of their maps were that the locations were amazing. You know, a lot of people look fondly on Horizon 1's map because of how good the locations were and things like that. And the landscapes do a significant part as well. Like, I'm not saying that they don't, but locations go further in a sense where, you know, you go to a specific location to drive on it and enjoy it, you know, rather than a landscape and not really much else from that. Now, another thing is that the roads should just be more diverse. There should be more road selection and just better roads overall. I am tired of the simplicity of the roads we've been getting with the recent games, which is just you know, flat out straight turns or flat out straight roads, and not much else from that. And a couple additions of, you know, maybe a couple of elevation, and that's it. I want more twists and turns and more difficulty within the roads and driving around them. It's what I really want most out of this game with this map. Like I said, I don't really care what it is. It could be Japan, it could be Germany, it could be any place in the world. I don't really care what the map is taking place on. What I just care the most about is the map good? Are these things taken into account? Are the locations good? Are the roads good? That's all that matters for me. I just need a good map. And another thing that needs to be well made in this game, needs to be done well in this game, is the soundtrack and vibe overall. This game, this series, is a festival. It's a festival experience. You know, the Horizon Festival, that's the main theming of this whole franchise. When you don't have a good soundtrack and vibe, that really takes into account that it's just not really doing anything, right? Like, you don't have a good soundtrack and vibe, your game isn't good. That's just me, my opinion. And that's the main issue that I have with Horizon 5, and maybe a little bit of Horizon 4, is that the soundtracks weren't good enough. You know, you can you could say that Horizon 4 soundtrack was pretty good, and yeah, it was fine, but like the vibe wasn't as good as it was with the first 3 games, and that's just it. The soundtracks of those games were top notch. You felt the soul in those soundtracks, right? You felt the vibe with those games. You don't feel the vibes in Horizon 5, for example, Horizon 4 as much, right? Especially Horizon 5 being the worst in terms of its vibe and soundtrack. It's barely not even there when the game is taking place in a freaking festival. Like, this is the main aspect of the game, like the main theming, and you can't even get the songs right. They really need to focus on the quality of the songs overall with this game. You don't get this right, your game isn't gonna have a good vibe. And this comes with every racing game in my opinion. You don't have a good soundtrack, your vibe isn't there really. You know, I talk about this with Need for Speeds, for example. You know, like a Need for Speed with not a good soundtrack doesn't really go well. You know, you really have to take into the story for it to carry the Need for Speed, for it to be good, and so on. But for Forza, there's no story, right? You're going for like a very simple progression system, simple career mode. So you don't have a story to carry it. You don't have characters to carry it. This soundtrack is the most important. This is the most important racing game to have a good soundtrack. It's the most important one because it's taking place on a music festival. So it has to be good. It needs to be good quality. That's it. You know, put passion into the festival theme again. That's what I need out of this game. Right? Once you put passion into it, it will give a proper direction into the overall tone of it. You get good songs and whatever, right? That will put in an overall tone of what the game is offering, and that makes the vibe feel very good, in that it will feel different from all the other games. You know, you look at Horizon 1, 2, and 3. Those are completely different games, and that has a lot to do with the soundtrack and vibe of those games. You know, Horizon 4 and 5 kind of feel the same, and you want to know why? Is because those soundtracks and vibes weren't very good, and a lot of the stuff we just had to carry were, you know, the map and that kind of stuff, which weren't really good in those games. I didn't really like the Horizon 4 map, and I don't like the Horizon 5 map at all. So you're not really going much off of that. I think Horizon 4 and 5 are just Forza open worlds, you know, rather than actual Horizon games, because they didn't really have good soundtracks. And Horizon 4 did have a decent one, it had a decent map, but it's not good enough. It simply isn't good enough for me. Horizon 6 needs to impress. That's it. Another thing that I'm going to say with Horizon 6 that needs to change is the FOMO system and festival playlist system. I talked about this before. A lot of things I talked about this before in recent or different videos, but I talked about this before. You know, every festival playlist exclusive car that gets added into the festival playlist for the week or whatever needs to come out in the auto show a couple months later. You need to remove that FOMO completely. FOMO should not be in games. That's it. FOMO should not be in games, right? Especially with this type of game where cars are the main thing you're doing. Like, why gatekeep cars for? It doesn't make any sense to me, especially when you're gatekeeping returning cars. Like, cars that have been in the series before you're gatekeeping, that doesn't make sense to me, right? None of those things should be gatekeeped. And in order to prevent that is to add them into the, add him to auto show a couple months later. That way you don't have to do the Horizon backstage, really. You could just completely remove that feature because it wouldn't really be relevant. And plus, that would completely negate it because you wouldn't have to wait until the end of the game's life cycle to even get these cars, right? Because every time the Horizon Backstage comes out, it comes out at the end of its life cycle. You don't have to wait that long. Instead, you just have to wait a couple months for the car to arrive into the auto show, and then you just, drive it. Right? Simple as that, right? It just completely removes FOMO and just makes the game more enjoyable because you get to drive the cars that you want to drive. And you wouldn't have to worry about playing in a week to get that car or not get it at all. You won't have to worry about it. And that's what I need out of this game as well. And another thing was just kind of a nitpick and just a little thing that doesn't really need to be changed but kind of does, at least for me anyway, is the HUD and UI. Now, just change the look and the sounds of the UI, man. I'm tired of hearing the same UI sounds we've been hearing since like Horizon 3. Like, that's another thing that makes the game feel different from all the other games, and that just keeps the game feeling a little bit more unique. It's not a big thing. This thing does not need to be changed for it to be a good game. I'm not saying that. It just makes the game feel more unique and more different than the other games. And it's just why I'm trying to get overall with this game, is that I just want it to feel different from all the other Horizons. Like I said, Horizon 1 and 2 feel completely different from one another, and 3 as well. And it's a part of the reason as to why is that the UI felt different from one another. They had different sounds and they looked different from one another. That's just how it was. And that's what I want to get at with this, game, is to make it feel different again. Horizon 4 and 5 felt kind of the same as to Horizon 3, and I don't want the game to feel the same. I don't want Horizon 6 to feel the same as Horizon 5. That's the worst outcome. And honestly, that would make me hate the game to the point where I would think it's the worst Forza Horizon game. If Horizon 6 feels the same as Horizon 5, I will say that it's the worst one, because it's not a new game. And that's the issue I have with these games, is that these games don't feel different games. They just feel like the same game, as if they just got an expansion with a new map and new career mode. That's kind of what it is. And I just want this series to feel immersive again, to feel unique again, to actually have that Horizon Festival vibe again. That's what I wanted the most out of it. That's why I think Horizon 6 needs to feel different. Anyways, that's it, guys. We got a packed month next month. Horizon 6 might get announced, like I said. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. But on the other note, we do have the Need for Speed review series starting next month. I'm going to be starting to review all the Need for Speed, starting from Carbon to Unbound. And yeah, we're starting with Carbon next month, so hope you guys enjoy it. And also, if you haven't watched my Best Horizon game videos, please. I just recently made the last video on the Best Horizon game or whatever, talking about the career mode of every game. And if you guys haven't checked that out, please check it out, because yeah. Anyways, that's it, guys. Hope you guys enjoy your day. Peace.